It's the Joe Padula Show, Clarksville's conversation.
Absolutely. All right, here we go. Election 2020 updates. Is the Philadelphia mob boss coming forward, admitting that his crew created 300,000 votes for Joe Biden for $3 million? Plus, who is the female counter that was counting the ballots in Georgia, finding batches of these untouched by human hand votes that magically went 98% for Biden? I'm telling you, this is not the stuff that mainstream media is putting out. And if Detroit can't certify their votes, does it now flip the state of Michigan for Donald Trump? I have the latest all Americans need to know here on the Joe Padula Show. Absolutely. Hey, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, click like, leave your comments, and definitely help us out and share this video now. Has anyone heard about this Philadelphia mob boss stuff yet?
No, not yet.
No.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Sit back, relax, buckle up. Here we go. Okay. You guys know much about the crime bosses?
I actually do. I you know me and my documentaries.
Yeah.
I love my documentaries.
There's nobody to play with. For sure.
It's historical. Just go back and look at the elections in the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Kennedy's.
Bugsy Siegel.
There's giant fraud going on.
Yeah.
There is history of mafia connections to elections.
Mafia connections.
You got the
historically.
Teamsters, all that stuff, too.
And now a report coming out of the Buffalo Chronicle. And just brought up by one of President Donald Trump's lawyers, Jordan Sekulow. And according to a couple personal connections that I had to make, the innermost circles of the American Mafia are friggin' abuzz right now. So Joseph Salvatore Merlino, okay, that's the guy's name, Merlino.
Is that your first cousin, Joe?
No, I don't know him. I don't know.
Come on, you're from Jersey. Surely you got a friend or a family member in the waste management business. Come
He
on.
could tell you, but then he'd have to kill you.
Lawyer Wayne says you don't have to answer that
That's right.
question.
Allegedly.
You know what? I don't know nothing.
Allegedly.
I do know that he goes by the name Skinny Joey. He does. He does. That's Skinny Joey.
Are you sure that's not you?
It's not me.
Oh.
I'm Thin Joey. I'm not skinny. I'm thin. That's
you
my
gotta-
mob name.
you
Hey,
gotta-
Thin Joey.
He's
You got
Joey,
to peck
Joey with,
which Joey you're talking
there you
about.
go.
Hey, Joey
Oh, that
Pectorals.
was
How you
bad,
doing?
sorry.
Pretty good. Right.
He's Joey with the pecs.
Well, he is Skinny Joey. He's believed, okay, to be the boss of the Philadelphia crime family. Okay, he rose to power in the mid '90s after allegedly he fought a war for control of the criminal organization over there. He led the crime family in gambling, loan sharking, extortion. Comparison to other traditional mob bosses who shun the limelight. Well, Skinny Joey, he interacted regularly with the media and the public. So he's the son of actually deceased Philadelphia crime family underboss Chucky Merlino.
Wow.
Yeah. So he may or may not, okay, also have links to Pagan's Motorcycle Club. You don't want to mess with them. And also the Junior Black Mafia. Don't want to mess with them either. But you may be hearing and learning about Skinny Joey in his next coming weeks here.
Did you just make that up, or is that really his name?
That's his name.
It's really his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Read a book.
I've been watching Newsmax. I don't have time. And making candles. I don't have time to read a book.
There you go.
See?
But they may be calling this the heist of the century, the 2020 presidential election. Because it looks like an associate, you guys know what an associate is, right? Okay. Is having a few sit-downs and says that Skinny Joey might just be willing to flip on Joe Biden and the Pennsylvania political operatives, who he's saying ordered some 300,000 election ballots marked for Biden. So the source alleges, okay, I don't want to cause any problems here, Skinny Joey, that Merlino, Skinny Joey, and the team of associates manufactured those ballots at a rate of $10 a ballot, making $3 million for 3 days of work. Not bad.
Not a bad gig.
Not bad. They were packaged into nondescript cardboard boxes and dropped off outside of the Philadelphia Convention Center where they were doing the counting that night. And still to this day, of which there may not or may be some video proof to go along with this. So, sources who spoke on a condition of anonymity, all right, you know what I mean? They say that Skinny Joey picked up those ballots from 2 private households where a trusted handful of associates were busily marking ballots with Sharpie markers. They were paid more than $1,000 per hour. Damn.
We're in the wrong business.
Often producing thousands of ballots every hour for more than 60 nearly consecutive hours. They were doing shifts. You know, I know some of these guys, they don't freaking work.
Are they friends of yours or friends of ours?
They're nothing to me.
Friends of, you know.
The guy states that the ballots were purchased in cash and they may or may not have that cash. You know what cash has on it, right?
Tracking number.
Numbers.
Cocaine. Oh, no.
It's also said that the Democrat Party operatives working inside Philadelphia's election office provided Skinny Joey Merlino with crates of raw ballots just hours before polls closed on election night, which he transported to 2 private households in South Philly. So by 10 p.m. that night, Merlino's operation was already generating more than 3,000 ballots an hour, which quickly scaled to more than 6,000 ballots per hour before midnight. But now breaking, Skinny Joey Merlino might just be willing to flip on Biden in prime time congressional testimony. If President Donald J. Trump is willing to issue this mobster, I'm not going to call him a mobster, an alleged mobster, a full-time expungement of his decades-long criminal record. And of course, Skinny Joey wants to be pardoned for the election fraud itself and any crimes to which he may incriminate himself during his testimony.
This sounds like a James Patterson novel.
Let me tell you. Notice what are all the great movies made of? Mob movies, right?
Pretty much.
What are they based on? Something? True stories.
Exactly.
One confidant stated
Leverage.
that, quote, I'll do it in the confidant's voice. He wants a clean record. All right? He wants to fish and hunt on federal lands. He really likes a job with the National Park Service. You need a clean record to get those things. But most of all, he wants the thanks of a grateful nation for coming forward. Sounds about right.
He asked for a lot.
And the confidant even smiled when he said that he wouldn't mind a little fame or a lot of fame. Yeah, this guy does like the media, by the way. Yeah, so if he comes forward, he'll probably...
Is he giving back the $3 million?
Does he need to?
Well, if this does come to fruition, I think that would be ruled evidence.
Well, let's face it. He says they say 3 million. I think we can safely say that number is likely a little bit higher. So they've
Skinny Joey,
a little bit.
we counted the money
Well, that's
handed
only
in.
one place
You're
we know
missing
of.
$14,000. I don't know.
Don't know what you're talking about, eh?
Those bastards screwed me. Well, this potential damning congressional testimony is being dubbed the biggest heist in political history. Could make it politically impossible for a Republican-controlled legislature in Pennsylvania to certify the state's 20 electoral votes. Add that to the 683,000 non-inspected ballots in Pennsylvania, which the lawsuit is claiming over there. That's why it's not certified, which when it goes to court under the Equal Protections Clause of the Constitution, which will render those 683,000 votes null and void, which gives Trump the win in Pennsylvania.
This is sounding a lot like remember we were talking about the 12th Amendment thing?
Yeah, well...
I'm thinking we're going to be seeing that here fairly shortly.
Telling you, 12th Amendment thing, it might be. Combine that with the Georgia recount,
Yeah.
okay, this week, finding thousands of misplaced Trump votes and finding thousands of Biden error votes. And now, who is this female counter in Georgia finding batches of these untouched by human hand ballots that magically went from 98% for Joe Biden? The poll worker, who's 20 years of experience in handling the ballots and recounts for elections, said in a sworn affidavit statement, This was on November 17th, a couple days ago, that she noticed an unusual batch of ballots in which the sheets had no signs of use, that were pristine and brand new, with no signs of being touched by human or any markings, as if they were just printed. That's my dog. And approximately 98%, were marked for Biden in them. And only 2 of that batch of ballots were marked for Trump. That recount worker, Susan Voiles, well, she just filled an affidavit in Supreme Court in Attorney Linda Wood's lawsuit against Georgia. So there you go. Another one in Georgia. She said that the pristine ballot batch showed a difference in texture in the paper. So these ballots weren't the same paper as the other ballots, according to her statement. And if they were intended for absentee use, but had not been used for that purpose, and there was a difference in the feel, she added. She also said that these different ballots, included a slight depressed pre-fold in all of them, so they could be easily folded and unfolded for use in scanning machines. Also, there was no markings on the ballots to show where they had come from or where they had been processed, so that's what made them stand out.
Yeah, Melissa Marquet in the comments just said, do they not have a government watermark? I mean, it's you would think that there would.
What's up, Melissa?
Yeah, shout out, Crime 411.
And Detroit going to Michigan now. If Detroit can't certify their votes, does it flip the state of Michigan for Donald Trump? Well, 2 Republican members of the 4-member Wayne County Canvassing Board. Wayne County, that's where Detroit is in. So they initially refused to certify the votes because of the ballot observers being banned from the ballot counting on election night, which we all saw the videos of.
Yes.
Well, unless you just watch mainstream media. Well,
I'm glad you're not calling it news.
That's not news. It's
not news.
It's corporate-owned media by Disney, for crying out loud. And also bringing up that more people in Detroit voted than are actually registered. And also, they filed for an audit and a recount of the votes in Detroit. But then they changed their minds later last night because of they got bullied. The 2 others were on the board, were even putting out one of the person's child's school name and address.
Oh, jeez.
So they said, okay, fine, I rescind my vote. But then they said, you know what, screw it, I'm not rescinding my vote. So if Detroit, Wayne County, can't certify their votes, take that out of the mix, Trump has won Michigan. Add that to the Democrat who works for the city of Detroit, who is going to court, a Democrat, and she's testifying that her supervisor made her and other workers change the date on their late ballots coming in to the day of the election and also the day before.
Well, Jason Meehan in the comments, and I'll tell you, he knows a lot about, he's up there on your level as far as being politically cognizant. And he said Biden won Michigan by 140,000 votes. But he also said Michigan has 175,000 votes from several districts that also have 0 registered voters, so they can't be checked.
Add this to the lawsuit in Wisconsin nobody's talking about. Well, not on that mainstream media anyway, where state law only allows absentee ballots and not mail-in ballots, and also requires voter ID. So there in Milwaukee, 60,000 ballots, 40,000 ballots in Madison have no applicants to back them up, no ID, no verification. That gives the victory of Wisconsin to President Trump. And all them Dominion voting machines with the Venezuela Smartmatic software that after hand recounts is turning over thousands more for President Donald Trump. I'm telling you, stay tuned, people. Buckle up. It's about to get real for some people. It really is. Here, let me go to the map real quick. Here, I'll put this on the screen too. So if you're listening and you want to see what we're talking about, Just go to the Joe Padula Show Facebook page, the live feed, or the YouTube channel, and you'll see exactly what we're seeing. All right. Okay, so these are the states that are not confirmed with legal action taking place in them. So
it's basically looking like every single state that was considered a swing state on the night of the election that they couldn't really decide. For people who can't see the map.
And go figure, each state uses that Dominion voting system too, by the way, which they're finding, thousands of votes that went to the wrong candidate. What a coincidence. And each candidate was the same person at the same time. So currently, unconfirmed states, unverified states, Biden, 270 is the path to victory for President of the United States. Biden at 227, Trump at 232, okay? Say what I brought up in Georgia. Those votes get taken away. There's Georgia. Say the Pennsylvania stuff we talked about just now. There's Pennsylvania, 268. Now we're talking Michigan. Remove the ones from Detroit. Overwhelmingly for President Trump. He's already over 270. He's at 284. Say Biden, Trump loses his Wisconsin argument, and Nevada, and Arizona. Then it goes to 254 to 284. Trump wins the presidency.
I just find it hard to believe that every single one of these ballots that has been fraudulent is like 100% all against Trump. There's got to be there's got to be some sway.
Well, that's kind of the point, because the percentages, the 47% that he was hitting all night, and then all of a sudden you get 300,000 to 400,000 votes, 100% for one candidate. You have a better chance of winning the
Kentucky Derby without a horse?
The Kentucky Derby without a horse, getting struck by lightning, and the lottery all in the same week.
My thing is this. No matter who you want to win presidency, this is far beyond that.
Correct.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. All of this needs to be investigated and looked into so we can trust our elections.
Agreed.
Facts.
Like, no matter who you want to be president.
Yeah, I stand by what I said last week, which is that as much as I dislike Trump, regardless of who wins, it does need to be fair. We need to be able to trust in democracy. And if it turns out that Trump wins, you know what? Another 4 years, let's do it again. But at the end of the day, it needs to be done correctly, justly, and it needs to be legit. It's none of this falsity, none of this, this debauchery that's going on behind the scenes. I think that's just it's not American. It's not right.
This goes beyond federal elections, goes down to the state, goes down to local, where people will not trust the system. And I'll tell you, local politics is very important. And Tangi can attest to that as a county commissioner. Yeah, you want people to want to go out and vote. You don't want people go, you know what? It doesn't matter. You don't want that mentality.
You want them to know that their vote counts.
Right.
You want them to say, if they say, well, it doesn't matter anyway, you're going to pick, and that's not true, especially for local. But
right.
And it's hard to try to get that to people's
head
that your vote does count.
Right.
It's amazing to look at the local numbers. I'm not going to name the candidate, but I worked on a political campaign several years ago, and to look at the final numbers and see that it's something like 72% of people in Clarksville, Montgomery County that are registered to vote did not do so. That's insanity. That is a huge percentage of people who have that. Either it's like Tangi said, that logic of, oh, it's just my one vote, who cares? A lot of people don't even know.
Well, go figure. In some of these places that we just brought up here, where they're getting 105% vote percentage. That's impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you know what I mean? That's impossible.
That's either tossed in ballots, dead people voting, duplicate ballots.
Right. And that's what's happening in Arizona and Nevada, where they're finding these tens of thousands of people who voted who don't live in the state, who moved. Yeah, it's the legal process is taking its place. Take your time. Relax.
They need to make it easier, too.
Get some hemp. Get some hemp.
They need to make it easier for people to change over as well. A good friend of mine, she actually recently traveled to Denver, and she scheduled her timing of her trip so that she was able to vote. She's been gone from Colorado for like 2 years, but she's having the worst time trying to get registered in her now home state of Georgia because it's just one loop after another, you know. The system's broken. It needs to be fixed.
All right, we got to move forward, though.
Good.
We're running out of time here. Look at this. Crazy, crazy times. But, hey, again, write your comments, okay? Share this on your timeline. And, hey, definitely subscribe to us and let us know what you think about just some interesting things that mainstream media just doesn't want to put out. Corporate-owned media.
It's the Joe Padula Show. Bada bing. Clarksville's conversation.